Hello, welcome. My name is Selfdoubt. Welcome. Today I want to do book review on resilience. It's a book that I wrote. I think it's a good book. How to develop courage and strength as an entrepreneur. And the other subtitle is Africa, Culture, Identity, Freedom, Politics, Business. So please share the channel with your friends, share the channel so that other people can see it. So I want to share some brief thoughts on that. If there is any element that you will need as an entrepreneur, as somebody who wants to build business in Africa, amongst all the other things, is your ability to keep going when everybody else has given up. And resilience is that. Because entrepreneurship everywhere is tough, but ours, you really have to understand what goes on here. You really have to understand what you know, and you have to understand what you don't know. And I've tried to put this thought in a book because I believe that there is that divine force within all of us that keeps on, that helps us to keep on going when everybody else has given up. And most people, it's good you have a dream, it's good you have an idea, but the only difference between you and the other person who is able to build his business or who is able to become successful is the ability to keep going when everybody else has given up. And to keep going is, you don't just have to keep going because you want to keep going. You have to keep going in the light. You know, it's one thing when you are moving in darkness, then you can fall in anything and even hurt yourself or even die. But when you are walking in the light, you know, your strength can run out, but at least you can see where to step. You know, and that is resilience. So some of the content I talk about resilience as the first chapter. And then there is power structure you must understand, because a lot of Africans don't understand the powers that run this world. The power structure that has been running this world for all these years, since the 14th century or the 15th century. You know, you should. The next chapter is courage and strength. Courage and strength. You must have courage, and you have much strength. If you don't have courage, it will be very difficult to express your strength. And the next chapter 4 is entrepreneurship itself. You know, it's something. Some people confuse entrepreneurship and business. Any of us, and you know, anybody can have money and then start to build business. But entrepreneurs are really driven by innovation, and a lot of the times they may not even have money, they may not even have any connections, but there's so much belief that what they know can be built into something that can benefit themselves and can benefit society in general. So the next chapter, chapter 5, is skill set. It's one thing to have a good mindset as an entrepreneur. It's another thing to have the right skill set that is required for you to build a business. There's a skill set that you need to have, you know. A financial skill set. You must have the ability to lead people. You must have the ability to build structures around your business. You should be able to understand the product or the service that your business is into. You must understand a lot of things that the business is about. The next one is dignity. You know, dignity. So it's chapter 6. Chapter 7 is financial problems. There's another one that gives a lot of troubles to entrepreneurs, financial problems. And almost all of us, when we start, all our decisions, if they fail, they become financial problems, financial burdens on us. You know, you can employ anybody. When they make mistakes, they can stop the work or the job and move on. But you as a business owner would end up with some level of losses, and especially financially. And if there is any burden that is heavier than financial problems on an entrepreneur with a failing business, that could be another strong burden. So the pressure that comes from financial problems and how you become far more resilient to weather that phase of your business journey. The chapter 8 talks about mind power, critical thinking. The ability to use your mind to solve problems and look at data and think creatively is very much important as well. being able to solve problems, looking at the issues as they are, and coming up and improvising, coming up and solving your own problems without you feeling powerless and thinking that somebody else must solve the problems for you. The next one is pressure. So pressure, society will give you pressure, no doubt about that. When you start business, pressure will come from friends and family. You must know how to deal with it. The chapter 11 talks about government institutions in our country, because Ghana used to be a part of Ghana used to be a British colony, and most of the laws that they left, they were left so that our people would not innovate and build businesses to become hugely successful. So some of them, government institutions may not even be aware that a lot of their actions, knowingly or unknowingly, are stopping many of our people to become to be able to build strong businesses and to be able to even start businesses. So being able to understand how the regulators of business in our country, their actions or inactions, how they frustrate our business people, especially the youth, because they are the ones that we must focus on. The more you're sending a lot of them to universities, to colleges, to secondary schools, when they come out, the next phase of their life will be to have any source of income or get a job. And usually it's government who gives them job, or multinational. So when you don't have government taking a lot of people, you don't have a lot of big businesses taking a lot of people, the next ones will be them forming their own businesses or learning to work with what they call small and medium businesses. And if you're not doing a lot of things to support them, then we're going to have a situation, as we have had, where we have a lot of our young people looking for jobs and they don't have the right skill set to be able to pick any idea and develop it into business. Because I believe that it's not so much the lack of jobs, it's so much with the young men and women having the right mindset and the right skill set to be able to turn any idea that they have into business. Because most of the ideas that you have, most of the ideas that I have, if you are equipped well, if you have the right tools, will be able to turn any idea, as insignificant as those ideas may be. Just like putting water on your head and selling it to people can become a big business, because there are businesses that have been built just by people selling water, or turning that watcher joint into a big business, or being able to build a bakery, or turning your coding skill into a business, being able to build websites or applications or anything into business. People have done that. The difference is that somebody with a technical skill must also have the ability, must have an entrepreneur's skill set as well, and that is very key, and that our government institutions must understand. The next one, which is chapter 12, I talk about employees and partners, because that is another area that will give you pressure. If you're not able to pick the right employees, and if you're not able to manage them well, they can cause a lot of troubles for you in your business. And then if they say that outside a wrong business idea, the next element that will cause business pressure a lot is wrong partnership. So when the person that you have formed the business with does not see the same thing that you see, and may not even be ready to take the same pressure that you take, and so being able to understand that is very much important. The next one I talk about, chapter 13, I talk about freedom. Your ability to understand freedom, because there's nothing more of dignity than having freedom to live your dreams, your life, your aspirations, choosing what you want to become. Freedom, creating your own life is freedom. Freedom, financial freedom, being able to live your dreams, political freedom, all kind of freedom, cultural freedom. So understanding that freedom is key, because some people, no matter how people disrespect them, if they have not tasted freedom, if they don't have strong self-image, self-identity, the people can just trash them, and they still think that it doesn't really matter, And if you have right freedom, you will fight for the freedom of the others, So the next chapter 14, talks about strategize in Africa. That is, if you want to live in Africa, if you're building business in Ghana, in Nigeria, what it takes to be able to go through the phases to build your business. So my name is Selfdoubt. Today I'm just talking about resilience. It's a book that I wrote that I think you will love to read. This book is on Amazon Kindle. As a matter of fact, I have 3 books. The first one is Perspective, which talks about how to develop the mindset to start and build your own business. And the second one is Streamline, how to teach yourself money. It's personal financial education. It's today I was with my son. We were going to school and we were talking about money. So I was asking him, at home, what do you think that we spend money on? You know, because if there is no money, there will not be any electricity. There will not be any water. You may not even have food at home. When things spoil in the house, you cannot replace them. As a matter of fact, the car that we were using when we were going to school, when I was taking him to school, I'd ask him, so apart from you having the car, what other thing that would you have to put in the car? Fuel, and you need money to buy fuel. So financial education is that much super important. I don't think that we should just send our children to school. We should teach them, because eventually they will live in a world where a lot of their decisions will be affected by the finances that they have. Even their health, sometimes death and life situation, it's just the decider is money. You know, so I would rather want to have a lot of problems with money than have a lot of problems without money. And all of us can have a fair chance if you are equipped with the right knowledge and the right understanding. So I would want to read the introduction of the book, Resilience, how to develop courage and strength as an entrepreneur. And then the other subtitle is Africa, Culture, Identity, Freedom, Politics, Business. You know, nothing represents resilience more than the African people and the African continent. We have constantly been under attack for hundreds of years. Psychological attack, economic attack, political attack, cultural attack, and many more. Our current resource and status prove that, you know. So the average African believes Africa's problem is leadership and corruption, without being aware of the global power structures that have systematically set our continent to struggle and fail. Most people don't understand that. A lot of my friends think that is even an excuse. It's an alibi. There's something that we can do, you know. Maybe, but it's not an excuse. There are powers. The other time they had G7 meeting. I didn't know the same people who are telling us there's equality in this world. In trade, immigration, military power, governance. In spite of all these oppositions and struggles and constant attack from every front, we the African people have achieved so much. And I say that Africa, the survivor, the existence of Africa is actually a miracle. That we still have a continent that when people come, because up to date, when people go anywhere, when anybody has never been to Ghana, for instance, and they come, the kind of things that they've been told about Ghana, and when they are here, the things they see, the entirely opposite. And you will want to ask yourself, why? Why would you want to, you know, project the whole people as very ignorant? They virtually treat us like we are nothing, and we are children, and they have to come in to step in to help us. Those are our systems, those were all the things that is set. But the good thing is that if we decide not to see ourselves that way, then nobody else can stop us, because we fought back, actually. The fact that we are alive means that we are very strong people. So the global media propaganda against Africa has made it difficult for the rest of the world to respect Africa. It's true. Travel to anywhere, especially when you carry any African passport, the immigration, the way they treat us. You know, but a lot of our people just put up with it. They don't say anything. Go to China and see, go to Dubai, go to Europe, go to America. It's the same. So they find it difficult to put together what they have been told all their lives and seen on their TVs and what they experience on the ground when they come to Africa. The African spirit is resilient. Whether you are aware or not, the African spirit is resilient. I don't know where in the world that the African is respected, and yet when others come to Africa, they are respected and treated as humans. Yes, we treat people as humans. Somebody will say, oh, no, it's not true. It is true. It is true. Ask those who come here, they will tell you. Others say it is because we are naive. I don't think it's so. I say it is because we value. We have value for human lives. Somebody will say, no, it's not true. We have value for human lives. Take the systems that they put on us. Take the government system out. You see how we treat our people. Majority of our people have value for human lives. As a matter of fact, it's cultural. Go to any of our villages where people may not even know how to read, write, never been to school. And let's say you're a foreigner or you're a stranger, you have come there. You will see how they will treat you. They will give you food, they will give you water, they will get a place for you to sleep. That's humanity at heart. It will not even matter your tribe or the color of your skin. They will treat you so long as you look like a human being. You know. And that is the advantage that they took. That's the disposition that we had, and that's the advantage that the Arabs and the Europeans used against us, because we thought that the human beings are the same. So the spirit of resilience is what we have to take into business. So if you're an African and you have this memory, you have this understanding of what we have endured, then the problems that you meet trying to build a business should not make you stop. And you should not be giving excuses at all. You know, so I think it is so good that we don't get to fully understand the specific problems and challenges that starting a business brings to any of us. Because most of us, if we knew what we're going to go through trying to build business, we probably would not have. So perhaps most of us would give up if we had to know all the difficulties starting a business would bring. You know, if I had known the bad business decisions or bad ideas, wrong partnerships, pretentious employees, the debt, financial difficulties that are hard to endure as an entrepreneur, I would have probably found another path to live my life and make my contribution to the development of our country without becoming an entrepreneur, maybe. And it's so good that that's a lot of the times we don't get to have the whole picture of the journey before we start, you know, especially the challenges that we meet. So yet it has been fulfilling and gratifying starting and growing business. Said that I will not trade this life for any other. As a matter of fact, with all that I know, if I were to even start again, I will still try to be an entrepreneur. You know, the opportunities that have come out of this entrepreneur's journey have been enormous. Great opportunities to meet people, share your ideas. The feeling that you could think of anything and years later it becomes a business, at least, if nothing at all, to feed yourself and to feed your family. It's gratifying, you know. So, for example, the eventual financial freedom, it is true. In as much as anybody at all can achieve some level of financial freedom if they have good plan and good skill, good knowledge. To achieve it with business as an entity is way bigger. May not be faster, but eventually if it works out, it's exponential. It's exponential. So that freedom, the freedom that comes with it in terms of being in control of our decisions and choices and the sense of purpose it brings. So, you know, because every human being is looking for the reason they are alive, you know, the reason that they came to live. And a lot of us as entrepreneurs, if you look beyond just the money, there is that sense of mission, there's that sense of vision, as well as that sense of purpose, you know. So when people are trying to find out why they came, you along the line, you will see if you think beyond the money and the value and the lives that you are improving, changing. So the people I have come to work with and the impact that they have had on me, and how I have been able to add some level, some value to their lives as well. Being an entrepreneur requires toughness of mind and spirit. You cannot, you know, for you to be a champion, for you to be, if you want to be a boxer in the ring, you cannot think as a weak person. If you're a soldier, you go to war, there's a way that you think. You cannot be a police officer and think like a civilian. You know, it's the same. So being an entrepreneur, there is a way that you have to think. You have to be very tough-minded. You can't just be tricked and giving to anything that anybody else says, you know. I remember how a certain young lady shared with me the stages she had to endure in her becoming a businesswoman. There's a lady who called me on one time, and she shared a good story with me. She started a big provision shop, and something happened, and she lost that business. She owed people, and did not know what to do. One day she happened to meet this man who introduced her to some product that will make her, that she could market if she was willing. You know, so she had lost a business, and then she was, you know, she didn't know where to turn to. She owed people. Then she met somebody who introduced some products to her. She said that if you would want to sell these products, And she said, yes, I have lost almost everything and I'm in debt, so I would want to do it. And that is the power of resilience, that you build something out of your own wrong decisions or whatever, then you are on the ground. Your ability to try to get up again. It is what resilience is about. And I'm saying that spirit connects within you, that you think that there's more to your life than just the money, and that is what happened to the woman. And so not having anything much to do, she agreed to sell the products to carry by carrying them on her head to marketplaces. So she will move from one, if you understand that the African structure, or if you understand Ghana, our people, some of them sell on their head. So she will carry the things and move from one place to the other, one house to the other, showing people her product. She said that people who knew her would ask her why she was selling those products on her head, because she had been a successful woman, and then all of a sudden everything dropped. Some people knew that she had successful business people in her family and wondered why she would not go to any of them for help. You see, that's another thing. Some of her family people had money, but she wanted to fight back, because for you to be resilient, you need a strong spirit, you need a strong mind. So she was not trying to just look for help just because she was in a very difficult situation. She was prepared to fight back. And that spirit is what makes you strong as an entrepreneur, where you're able to fight back, because in the process of you fighting back, you develop the right nutrients, the right strength to keep fighting anytime that you meet problems. So when you meet problems and you just crumble and you go to look for help, then when they help you and there is another problem, what would you do? Because eventually you will be the one who will claim that you were successful. So if you're successful, you cannot be rewarded if you didn't pay the price. And that is the spirit, because she had that kind of mindset, that she was not just waiting for somebody to help her, and she was ready to fight from where she was, that she became great. So she rather told herself she will fight to get her life and business back. And that is the power of resilience. You are ready to fight back. You are not blaming demons or your family spirit, or you're not looking for the devil. You want to fight back, starting from where she was, working hard and being honest. Because that's another. The third one is major. Being honest with the process and being honest to yourself and to others, because then you develop the right spirit, the strength of a spirit that you need to keep fighting when everybody else gives up on you. Because at a point in time, you go through that, especially if you're building business. So after gaining some kind of success, she then decided to become an apprentice as a at a wood market. She decided to be honest with her employee. And so you cannot develop the right strength of spirit and mind if you just like that. If you crook, you will struggle. You will shortcut, the development process. Learn the details of the wood selling business, and by working hard. They trusted her so much that she was always bringing contractors to her madam's business. So somebody who owned a business lost everything and owed. Had an idea, started to sell on ahead, and then she decided to enter the wood business. She became an employee for somebody to learn the trade for years. She did not cut corners. She did not go behind her employer trying to look how to make money. No, she will go for contractors and give them to the madam, and she learned the trade in and out. And so as time went on, she became so good at her work and was able to establish herself in the wood selling business. Yes. So after a while, she said that she wanted to be herself, and then she called me, and she was so much happy to share the story. That is what resilience is about. So you're not looking for excuses, you're not looking for help, you're not trying to blame anybody when things don't go as you plan. You look at yourself, you look at how you make the decisions, and you fight back. Being able to gather the courage and the strength to restart your life or your business after what they call failure is much important. And that's why, if you look well, people who are able to, among your friends who are able to start businesses, people who eventually will become, they are people who have gone through a lot of challenges in life, whether from the family background or in school, in the culture. People who have been through a lot of rejections, because then that's how they develop the strength to keep fighting to build anything. So never dare to become successful in any area if you quit, if you give up, if you blame others. So entrepreneurs are driven by how far they see. So the woman could see, she could see how much success they want, and how many people they want to help, how many companies they want to build. Our resilience can be seen in our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. So resilience is not just a function by itself. It's not something that stands by itself, but it's a product. It can be expressed in how you talk, the things that you understand, the knowledge that you possess. You can keep going. As the same thing will happen to another person, that person will just say, I'm not doing it again. I've given up. I can't take the pain. The level of the pain is as crucial as the level of your ignorance. The more you know, the more you'll be able to interpret the pain and use the pain to gain more. So it is also established by a resource. Somebody, if you're resilient, they will see it in your results. They will see it in the way your productivity, the increase, the growth, or the expansion. The more somebody has gone through a lot, when they start to see things, and when the business starts to work, you will see how they will structure the business and how they will expand it, because they're hungry, they have been pressed, they've been prepared. It's a value for lives, and that's another thing that you can see, value for others. When you have seen anybody who has been mailed, who has gone through the thing, you see how they value people and how they're able to, and most of those people, majority of them, place huge importance on treating people well and being straightforward. Majority of them, you look at it. So I have had to endure self-doubt, cultural idiosyncrasies with regard to having university degree and not looking for job. With them. So some of us who went to school, if you want to start a business, people will tell you, but you can get a job, you can go and become a lecturer, things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if my dream is to build a business, then I'll have to build a business. So people will not understand why, because listen, in most parts of the world, once people get a lot of degrees and professions, nobody expects you to build a business with it. Most people will expect you to go and get a job, especially a government job or big multinational position, because that's what school was designed to do anyway. So for you to do anything against what most people know, you will have to take a lot of bullet from them. So though I wanted to build businesses, I did not know much about business in terms of finance, networking, sales, product development. It takes mere stubbornness, if you are that ignorant, to keep going, and the heart to learn continually. So that's why most people will never start anything, because they want to become master before they start. But if, depending on what you had to start with, you should be prepared to just be stubborn and to keep going, and be ready to learn. Be ready to unlearn that which does not work, and be ready to learn that which works. Business requires some level of skills with finance, with product, with processes, sales, communication, and technicalities. I did not have much of this. Therefore, lots of mistakes were committed. That's it. The mistakes and the things that will bring you down. Like the woman, there were mistakes that she committed in her first business, the provision. That's why the things. Maybe she took loan with huge interest, or maybe she was not paying attention. The children were not doing the right things. Maybe she was not even taking the stocks. Maybe, she was not paying attention to almost everything. Then everything will. So when you lose the business, a lot of the times it's just because you missed some things. And so when you correct those things, you'll be able to at least get back on your feet. So the same thing happened to us. Once we did not have a lot of understanding of the elements of business, then we should be ready. And that's why most entrepreneurs go up and down until they get the skill set, the commitment, the passion, the personality required to run a successful business. The moment you get to that stage, the business will succeed. So all the time that you are failing and falling down and being angry and being pained and being worried, is because you are still in the process of learning to become something. Majority of us will go through that if we started without those things. So one of the ways to overcome these mistakes, challenges, and pressures was just to be resilient, to keep going, and to connect with that voice within you that says that continue to go. You were made for this. You have to do this. And most great people, most people who do anything, they know, they connect with that sense of mission, that sense of purpose that goes beyond just looking for, money. So I have come to find out that this is not unique with me. Most entrepreneurs who started without any of these skill sets would go through a lot of troubles. It seems to me that every entrepreneur has had his own story to tell on this. Yes, majority of them. Even those who are skilled, one way or the other, will also meet their own troubles in different areas as well. So we are dealing with lack of business support infrastructure. What it means is that in our business, in our country, a lot of the things that support the infrastructure that supports businesses to succeed, we may not have them in the levels that we want to have them. Therefore, you have to be double strong for you to survive the turbulence. We have no other choice but to commit to our dreams, innovate, and keep going. So you innovate, you improvise, you keep changing the methodology until you reach the success that you're looking for. So I'm at page 10. People live comfortable lives till they take up responsibilities to become better. Most people will just get one car and they think that they have survived. But if you want to become, you will not be comfortable, because comfort will eventually make you poor and make you selfish and make you little. So whether it's marriage, business, job, or any endeavor, get the required knowledge so that you don't lose the energy to be joyous in taking up. Because some people don't also want to take responsibilities because the energy is low, and the energy you can increase it when you get the required knowledge. Entrepreneurship is about disruption. A lot of things that when you start business, they will be challenged. Your ideas. You believe that you're a very intelligent person until you start business and people screw you. Somebody that you never thought will even be able to trick you will trick you, and then you'll start to say, how could this person do this to me? People that you will trust easily. So technology has brought a lot of changes, and so much can be done by any if they put their mind to it. So now the phone in your hands the internet has caused a lot of disruption, and that's true. Before, in Ghana, you use GBC radio or GBC TV. Now anybody at all can pick their phone and mention whatever, and the same thing. Now you can watch me on YouTube because of technology. So social media has torn down a lot of barriers, and that were in existence some few years ago. So a few years ago, we didn't know so much about Africa. Now people with cameras moving everywhere, showing us the great things. Some few years ago, there are a lot of topics that we did not have access to, but now with the internet, with social media, there are great teachers on almost every topic, from health to finance, from history to governance, from science to technology, mathematics to English. Every one of us can train ourselves differently. So your phone now is a tool to build yourself and your business. You can virtually reach anybody, anywhere, and also reach many at the same time, especially on social media. So there are people that I've just connected with just because they're on YouTube, that we have become friends. People, like-minded people, because of the times that we live in. So you have to upgrade your mind to be relevant in the time that we live in. When the content is weak, people give up at the slightest opposition or difficulty. So that's why you continue to add more. Knowledge is light. At the beginning of this presentation, I said that. So the more light you can have, the better you can see. So then you give up at the slightest opposition. You don't have to give up on hope, no matter what. No matter what. That's one thing that you need to be resilient, that you keep your hope, you keep your faith, you keep going. You have to be very optimistic. Build the muscle. If you see very negative people, it's hard for them to build anything, especially start anything. People don't settle for little. You cannot help people with nothing. Some people say that they want to help a lot of people, but you can't help people if you don't have what it takes to help. People can be happy with little achievements and make so much noise about them as having arrived or achieved much. So a lot of them are the media, the comedy people, the entertainment experts. They want to show us their cars and their houses only. We want to see the lives that you are changing. That, for me, they are greater. than just talking about what you have achieved. So your definition of what is called achievement and success is so important. If you grew up with little, you are likely to be happy with little achievements, and that's true. Most people who grew up with very little would tell you, your friend is building a house and he's hiding it from you because he thinks a house is anything. He grew up with not much. Most successful, great people don't do that, especially not to people who trust them. So if your family did not achieve much, it can place a limit on what you call success. And it's so true. Until you expand your mind beyond your horizon, beyond your exposure, very little things you would think. Yeah, so so you should drive us. What should drive us should not be what have been achieved, but what has to be done to the greater achievement, or to get to great. It seems to me that systems have been said that the people we call professionals, lawyers, politicians, engineers, doctors, accountants, work in the interest of those who control wealth and power. So if your poor money fall into a lot of these people's hands, you have no chance. And they do everything possible to protect them under the system. That's why when you start business and you don't have a lot of these people that we call professionals, you have to raise your resistance level so that you can get through that phase, because a lot of them could frustrate you as well. It is a thought pattern that the system has given these professionals, and so that they must work to defend the interests of those with money and power. And so that should not shock you. The moment you have an understanding of what is about to happen or what will happen, then you will be able to go through the process, because then you're able to perceive, you're able to foresee that this could happen. So they are usually occupied with going to school to get degrees, looking for proper jobs, and working to have what they call decent living. So, and a lot of us, when we are in that kind of thinking, the middle class thinking, we are very much selfish, and we don't extend help to a lot of people. Majority. You get to break that way of thinking when you have to think of how to get financial independence to help others and add value to the lives of others. And that's why most people who are professionals, when they start business, the strength level becomes that low. It's so low because they've been conditioned to work only for their interests, and so something more powerful than their mindset should be able to drive them so that they can endure the pain if they happen to get to that stage. Be an entrepreneur with mission beyond money can also help you to break this way of thinking, because sometimes people will ask you, I make 1,000. If I start a business, can I make more than that? Because that's why you've been conditioned. And so you think starting a business is about salary. You have to challenge that thinking. So our business laws and regulations create fear of risk taking. And as a matter of fact, when you go to school, the settings of school, by the time that you're through, if you're among the best in the class, you already are afraid of risk. And that's why most professionals are not very much comfortable with the training with risk, especially when it comes to financial risk or taking business risk and getting financial. And most of us, if you don't take that risk in terms of finance, you will never become independent. You cannot just depend on treasury bills and stock value to say that I'm building wealth. Majority of us, we will never be able to have financial independence until we think beyond the normal setting. Maybe starting a provision shop, or maybe starting a cocoa farm, or maybe starting a cassava farm, or something that complements your revenue. There must be reasons, so they really set us like that so that we could work for them for life. I have to look at the time of slavery. Look at the time slavery was abolished, when so-called industrialization started and mass education of what we call professionals. So when they stopped slavery and they started to produce all these doctors, engineers, it's just a transition. It's just somebody who colonization, slavery, they capture your mind, you work in their system for them, they use you to make a lot of money, and you have nothing left until you start to think against the structure, you start to think against the system. And most of us don't see that. And so when you become an entrepreneur, your friends, is not because they know better, they're just thinking from that level that they are. You must have superior information so as when you are dealing with them, you know what they know and what they don't know. Because a lot of the times, if you don't know much, the people who don't know much will confuse you. And then you give up on yourself, on your dream, or you worry too much in the journey. So the kind of educational system that we currently have has not been for the development of Africa. And the government system have not been helpful in developing us. Yes. So a lot of the content that we give them, we are teaching them trees, we're teaching them soil. That's all. The ability to turn this education into something, to build something beneficial. Creative thinking is limited. That's true. Controlled in our education system. So we give them, define this. If you don't define it that way, then. And so when you're a product of that, your spirit to be resilient is questionable. So I may be wrong, but the worst population have been conditioned through school, religion, and the media to be comfortable with average life. And so the moment you're comfortable with average life, why would you want to put up with pressure? So then you will not even need to be resilient in anything at all. And so that part of it is coming from the school, the church, and or religion and the media as well. So we have been trained to be antagonistic to going through pain and struggles to build business wealth or financial freedom. So whenever you try to build your own financial future, your own businesses, or anything that will make greater impact on society, your training made you comfortable, said that you become so much oversensitive to pain and inconvenience. And yet, if you want to go after your dream, if you want to build a business, you should be ready for such things. So many don't like the discomfort. This is particularly prevalent with the people who get higher education. That's true. So my friends who got higher education, they don't want trouble at all. They don't want to be disrespected. They want to tell people that, do you know where I went to school? When they meet you, like me, I will tell you that I'm an engineer, and I want you to know that I went to school. So the system was not designed to give courage and strength to us to dare to go after our dream. So you need a different kind of information. We become so careful and calculating, and this may help to explain why most educated have to wait for government to give them jobs or multinationals in order to feel accomplished. That's true. I think that the school, the more if you're an entrepreneur, the most people that if you have a small business, if you employ a lot of these graduates, they will not be proud working with you, and they may not even give in all their best for the business to work. So most of educated people would have to work for government or multinationals. That is what the education was designed for. And so until they get those positions, they are not happy. They don't even feel like they have accomplished anything. And sometimes it does not even matter how much you pay them salary. That is the thinking, and it's called colonial education. It's called colonial education. So can you imagine somebody was colonial something, and then they design education? What do you think they will give you? They just give you colonial education, So some people will give little regards to their friends who are able to step out of the system to start to build their own business, because the colonial education will make sure that you follow the government or the multinational that look like the colonial people for you to feel accomplished. And I'm saying that for you to be resilient, you need to totally think opposite ways and go after that which is in your heart, because that thing which is in your heart has the strength to push you going, when everybody else starts to give up on you. So train yourself to keep going when all hope seems far, all courage has been swung. Keep going. Keep going. Keep learning, keep going, because that's what it is. Life demands tenacity. And when it gets through, and when it gets tough, keep going. Life, for you to be successful, life will throw so many things at you. So for you to become successful, you need tenacity. This book is about discovering this force and developing it. Your resilience is your strength, your best leverage. That's the only thing. If you can take the bullet and still keep going, it takes courage to be successful in this life. So my name is Obendako. I have done some few things on the book that I wrote, Resilience, how to develop courage and strength as an entrepreneur. Africa, culture, identity, freedom, politics, business.